Chaz Smith, cheers.
What a day, David Lee Scales.
Totally wild day.
Up in beautiful La Mirada.
How about that? These already got warm a little bit.
Right next to where I went to school. It's crazy driving. This is the first time I've driven La Mirada Avenue since graduation, probably.
That'd be Boulevard.
Boulevard, sorry.
Nostalgic, though, right?
It is, kind of. It is.
We're at my mom's house right now, recording in the backyard. So I had a nostalgic morning as well.
When was the last time you were in sunny La Mirada?
I come every once in a while to visit my mom, but I haven't driven around. I just come straight to her house.
Yeah.
So today was the first time going. The reason why we're here is we're eating Bubba Coo's burritos.
Phenomenal Bubba Coo's.
So I had to drive up to Bubba Coo's and see like all the stuff that I used to see when I did live here, and that was the nostalgic part.
Did Bubba Coo's take over something that you used to know and love?
Blockbuster.
Oh, I know that block. That's where Bubba Coo's is?
Yeah.
That makes me love it even more.
Is it La Mirada Boulevard
Yeah.
and Imperial?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was my Blockbuster.
So it's a couple, they subdivided it.
Okay.
But one.
The Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
So Bubba Coo's Burritos is our new sponsor. They've been with us for 2 weeks now. Bubba Coo's Burritos.com, I
Yes.
believe, is the website. BubbaCoosBurritos.com.
Nope, just
/surf.
BubbaCoos.com.
Okay, BubbaCoos.com/surf. The /surf is the part that's important to remember. Download the app, save $2 with your first order, or consider opening a franchise. Bubba Coo's started in New Jersey. They're surfer skaters. They're moving their way west. There's 2 locations in California. If you want to get rich off burritos, that's how you do it.
Funny thing I was thinking this morning. California needs more burritos like a sand needs more beach. I mean, a beach needs more sand, right? But I was thinking what I got today at my Bubba Coo's order was I do believe, what is it? A General Tso's chicken taco. You can't find that anywhere else. I'm all about the fusion cuisine, David Lee Scales.
They do have classic burrito options, Mexican options, but the genius here is incorporating. You know when you wake up in the morning, say it's midday, you got Chinese leftovers in the fridge or whatever it is, and you also have a tortilla, you're like, I'm going to go wild right now. I'm going to create something brand new.
This is honestly exactly what I was. This is how I was dreaming it would be.
So I thought, I think I might have made a mistake on the app when ordering. I was supposed to add the toppings, which would be like the cabbage slaw and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to shovel some of the toppings from the nachos onto there, that might help it out.
I am so happy with the General Tso's chicken as it is. In the delicious tortilla. I couldn't be any happier.
Good. And then I got, and I split with you, Nashville hot burrito. So again, same
yeah.
idea. Those Nashville hot chicken sandwiches are insane.
So good.
What if you had leftover ingredients but no more buns? Wrap it up.
This is New Jersey innovation right here. This is the kind of thing that you need New Jersey for.
And when I went into Bubba Coo's, guess what's playing on the big screen?
Professional surfing?
I don't know if it qualifies as professional. It probably does, actually. Rob Kelly getting shacked in New Jersey.
That makes me even happier that they play local legends all the way out west in sunny California.
Rob Kelly getting shacked in frigid waters in like chocolatey, dark barrels.
Perfect.
Looks like it's nighttime.
Perfect.
I know.
I'm so happy with this whole thing.
Pete Mendia on the wall.
Is Pete Mendia on the wall?
He is, but I'm pretty sure it's him, but it's superimposed.
Yeah.
So it looks like a regular footer, but it is Pete, and you're just like, unless it's a guy, a Yeti who looks like Pete.
This Nashville hot chicken one, I love a Nashville hot chicken sandwich, but sometimes the buns overwhelm. In a tortilla, even better.
Tortilla gets out of the way of all the flavor.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Bubba Coo's.
And we got nachos. And we got Chihuahua, which is like a rice ball nacho thing.
So happy.
The rice ball I grew to love in Italy, the arancini.
Oh my goodness.
So this is like an arancini / nacho fusion.
I mean, it's all about fusion. That's what
Wow.
we need more of.
This is wild, dude. So BubbaCoos.com/surf, or like I said, consider being a part of the wave that's taking over the U.S. and open up a franchise.
I'm going to open up a franchise after this.
All right, let's get on to today's show.
Let's do it.
All right, Chaz Smith, we're going to be chewing on food and drinking beer throughout this show, so listeners are going to have to suffer through.
I mean, stop by a Bubba Coo's and join us.
There you go. Bubba Coo's. If there is one locally, if not, consider opening one. We got lots of surf news this week, actually.
So much. Today's a big day in surfing.
I'm going to quick recap or quick tease of the news stories. Then we're going to go into some follow-up from last week. So quick tease, Make or Break just aired this morning for me.
Did you watch it?
I watched episode 1.
You didn't watch. I guess how many episodes I'm in. I'm into 3 already.
No way.
Yeah.
So you woke up early to start?
No, I got a. Did they release them all at the same time?
Yeah.
I started last evening. I got a little backdoor teaser to all the eps.
Who gave you that?
The PR company managing it, which is funny.
Do they know what you do?
Well, here's the thing. I had this email from a total great PR man, right? Like, hey, this is airing tomorrow. Let us know if you'd like to interview anybody. Or I think it was Sage Erickson and the showrunner Warren Smith, which must not be the Warren Smith.
It's not.
That is the showrunner's name is Warren Smith. Available for interviews, and if you want to see them, let me know and I can shoot you over a link. So both Derek and I responded, yes, please, and then he got back right away and he was like, okay, great. I'll I just have to circle back around and then I'll send you the link. Dead quiet for the rest of the day. Derek and I figured out how to kind of hack in through the back, and so got in ourselves. Didn't get the link sent, but yeah. So I thought he went back to his people, or WSL or whoever, Box to Box Films, whoever, and said, "Hey, so Beach Grit wants this," and they said no.
You've been blacklisted.
That's what it felt like, but apparently no, we're okay. It just things took longer. So
Okay.
Yeah, Derek gets to interview Warren Smith today.
Okay, good. On for Dirty Water.
I think it'll just be for an article.
Got it. Well, so that's big news. We'll discuss it.
What were your thoughts? I mean, are we going to go through?
Give me a
more news?
minute.
Okay.
Give me a minute. Let's get to it because it'll take a while to fully break down. Margaret River opened up. They've run 2 days of competition so far. Idolo broke his nose. These are kind of the big stories. In follow-up news from last week, surf ads. Remember when he called in about that head injury and he was going to go to the doc and get it checked out?
Yes.
Called back in. I'll just explain it to you rather than playing it, but he's totally fine. And the doctor was like, there was no point in coming in.
I was right.
You were right. And I told him, I was like, even if the doc said that, that's terrible advice to give to other people. It's best to err on the side of caution. The doctor ultimately said, keep your eye on it. And if anything weird is happening, then come back in.
Did surf ads feel like a sissy for going in?
He did a little bit.
Yeah.
So ultimately what he and I decided texting back and forth was err on the side of caution and also toughen up a bit.
Yeah.
Do both things.
Combo.
Combo.
It's a combo swell.
Yeah. Cruz Tanofa, remember he got bonked in the head by Tosh Tudor?
Sure did. What happened to him?
Checked in with his dad last week. His dad said all is well.
No problem.
Cruz is doing great.
No lingering headaches.
Nothing at
No
all.
light sensitivity.
Kids are resilient. So those two are defying the odds of head bonks.
But-
head bonk trauma.
I learned when we talked about it last, I'm done giving bad medical advice. If you bonk your head, go to the doctor.
Absolutely, especially if you bonk your head.
Yeah.
Somebody else called in. Remember we were talking about Red Bull?
Yeah.
Somebody called in who worked for Monster and said oftentimes when the person's on the podium drinking the Monster,
It's water.
it's water.
Of course.
Confirmed.
That's why they make have you ever gotten one of the Monster waters?
No, how would you?
Oh, I used to get them at skate contests when I would frequent skate contests on Cersei's Arm.
Oh, really?
In the whatever athlete area, they would I think Monster used to sponsor Street League is what it was, and maybe they still do. But you'd have to dig deep and find the one that was water. Like it was always in there. But
Like they accidentally put it in?
no, they were there because I think Monster. Nothing against Monster. I'm sure it's a fine company, fine place to work. I think Monster tastes so awful that nobody can even barely choke it down, even if they're pretending.
But people love it. Some people love it.
I think 909 loves Monster. I think if you live in Riverside, you are born with the Monster gene.
I thought they put the water ones in there in the athlete area because water is really what the athlete wants.
The athlete definitely doesn't want Monster.
Gotcha. What about that conspiracy theory about Monster being associated
666?
with 666 and devil claws and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff?
It's a good one, except for Isn't Hanson's, who started Monster, weren't they vaguely Christian somehow?
I have no idea.
I think
Were
they
they?
might have been.
Everybody's Christian, or everybody thinks they're religious until a big paycheck shows up,
No.
or an opportunity to corrupt without anybody knowing.
An opportunity to make a satanic energy drink brand?
Exactly. Okay, so more follow-up. Do you want to hear from our favorite caller of all time?
Yes, please.
So I think Hannah, I've determined,
Are you talking about Hanner?
Hannah, from this call, I've determined that she thinks, or she's supposed to be calling in weekly.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
And then right now she goes, well, I just, I forgot to call in last week, so I'll make up for it this week.
Great.
So she thinks she's on a weekly cycle. Hannah, for the record, if you don't want to call weekly, don't feel obligated. If you have something important to say, call, by all means.
Hey guys, Hannah from Australia here. Sorry I forgot to call in last week. I'm glad we all had a good 420 day. Got mobilized. Sounds like someone had a little bit more fun at Coachella than anyone else. What's my question this week? Do you think we should just cancel the WSL? Just cancel. Cancel it. Australia only. Just leave it in Australia. Anyway, that was a shit call. Bon voyage. Totally forgot, guys. We need to get funding for Kelly's Crocs. So I've set up a GoFundMe account for Kelly Needs Crocs. So if anyone out there can see Kelly, just go up with him. Pair of Crocs, pink, blue, black, gold, whatever colour you like. Just give Kelly some Crocs. So just again, that GoFundMe page is Kelly Needs Crocs. We need funding for his Crocs. Bon voyage.
It's actually a pretty good idea to start a GoFundMe for something that costs, what do Crocs cost? $30?
Yeah.
Yeah. to really go out, ask
Everybody
friends,
chip in a penny.
yeah, everybody chip in. If you got 5 cents, put it in there. I wonder if you could get 30. That's how long it took me to do the math of how many pennies were in $30. I wonder if you could get 300 pennies.
Nope.
Is that $3? No,
That'd be $3.
wait, so 3,000 pennies.
Would then be
$30.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3,000 pennies. Could we get 3,000 people to chip in 1 cent each?
Yeah, I think we could.
Okay.
I don't know. GoFundMe's got to have a minimum setup. Even just doing the digital digital transfer would cost more.
That's true.
But Hannah,
Hannah?
I love the fact that Hannah is committed to seeing Kelly in Crocs. I Googled GoFundMe Kelly Needs Crocs. Couldn't find it. But there is a GoFundMe set up for nurses who need Crocs. So you could donate a pair of Crocs to a nurse.
We should donate Crocs to nurses in the name of Kelly Slater.
I'd be okay with this.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that nurses wear Crocs. Like, that is their chosen shoe.
How did the clog become the shoe of both nurses and restaurant workers? And is it like a lot more comfortable?
It's supposed to be. That's the thing. If you're on your feet all day, that's the ultimate footwear.
a clog? Something not like bogging down your heel.
Not just a clog, a croc.
Sure, but
Squishy clog.
but you see chefs always have those full-on clogs, right? They're like
I thought those were...
Crocs.
I think of Mario Batali.
Yeah.
He wears Crocs.
He does, but I think there's like a specific chef croc. I mean,
Really?
not croc, a clog.
Okay.
That like Syria chefs wear.
But I think clog is wooden sole, which wouldn't be comfortable.
It's true. They're not wooden soles. They're squishy, but they are a like traditional Amsterdamian clog shape.
We got to get to the bottom of this.
We do.
Chefs, call in.
Please.
Explain yourselves.
Please.
Okay, so we're all caught up. Make or break.
Okay, let's get into
Let's
Make or
get
Break.
into it. Let's do a full film review right
So
now.
you watched episode 1.
Yeah, well, baby woke up at 4:30 this
Yep.
morning. Talk about, we had a rough morning. Both Chaz and I, rough start to the day.
Rough.
It started with a 4:30 wake up call. So
you watched.
But I was pleased to see when I turned on the TV, boom,
It
Make
was
or
there.
Break.
Are they all? Did they drop all the episodes at once, or are they leaking them out?
I saw 6. I don't know if that's all of them.
That's 6.
Okay.
So there's 6 episodes. Mm-hmm. So, what did you think? Did you watch start to line to line?
Yeah, I watched episode 1 from beginning to end, and I thought it's good. Firstly, it's good. Just I'll say that right out of the gates. It wasn't super compelling. I'm not like compelled to go home right now and catch up with episode 2 and beyond, but I thought it was well done. It was very well made. It was entertaining. I thought it validated exactly what we've been saying all along about, you know what the tour needs? Fewer surfers, and only the surfers whose surfing is compelling. Well, the strength of this is that they picked a couple of storylines of the surfers who are most compelling. And so when they actually cut to the actual surfing, it's good surfing that we actually want to see.
Continue.
Okay. But what they did really well was humanize the athletes and unpack stories that the WSL doesn't take the time to do on their broadcast. Partially.
Okay.
There was more they could have gone into. But again, that constraint of 45 minutes or whatever it was, I thought it was well done.
Episode 1, I watched and was completely and utterly underwhelmed. I thought, what is this? This is WSL PR. Excuse me, man, just this barbecue's so delicious. The problem, should I go negative first or should I go positive first? I'm going to go
I
negative.
didn't know you'd have positive.
Oh, I have positive. I'm going to start negative, though. There's too much WSL in, right? Like, the voices are Joe Turpel, Chris Cote. The people they interview are Stace Galbraith and Luke Kennedy, I think, are the surf journalists. Where nothing against those guys, but it's all super vanilla, right? And there's no, like... The WSL, you realize, is not very chill. It's not good. It's not entertaining. It's irritating. It is. And these guys in episode 1 did a better job. Box to Box Films did a better job of telling the WSL story than the WSL did, right? There's still way too much WSL. Like, WSL needs to stinking, to me, and this threw it all into real stark relief, needs to clean house. It needs new announcers, new voices, a whole new way of doing things, which having Joe Turpel's voice open the thing, like, is obnoxious and annoying. And it still felt like WSL is, the wall of positive noise is still so there. And Box to Box is creeping around it now, but it seemed like Box to Box didn't do enough work in the margins of, like, what do the surf fans actually think, right? It's all from WSL perspective, and then the outside voices they have are tepid and bland until you get into episodes 2 and 3. Still too much WSL. You realize the WSL is just sort of unfixable with what it is. I mean, they truly do need to clear house, right? Like, every voice needs to go away. They need a full reset based upon this. So episode 2 follows Philippe, Toledo, Idolo, and Gabe. You really get insight into Gabe. Gabe leaving his family, hooked up with Yasmin, which is funny in retrospect, I suppose. Yasmin says at some point, like, his family or people think I'm going to wreck his career, which
She says that?
yeah, which
Wow.
she clearly did, or derail it, certainly. But that insight is great. It's compelling. Most compelling. I haven't even finished 4, 5, 6. Episode 3. Guess who episode 3 focuses on?
Who?
Matt McGillivray and Morgan Siblick. By far the most interesting.
Why?
You have Jay Bottle Thompson, who I never had much time for. Not like, as their coach. They ask him how he got his nickname. He says, I can't say this on air. It has something to do with my anatomy, basically, which is funny. The whole thing, it really starts to click with the no-namers, because Morgan and Maddie are like, seeing their grind is something you don't see at all, right? That was, I knew really nothing about Morgan other than he was kind of, had a veneery smile. I didn't know that he was like he's kind of a full Aussie, like good old boy, right? Goes to the club drinking late and whatever it was like that I didn't know. I knew episode 1 focuses more or less on Tyler Wright's story.
Yeah.
Which is, everybody knows it, right? There's no surprises. Anybody in surf knows it. Maybe it'll be compelling to a non-surf audience, but I don't know. I knew Gabriel's story, but getting more back info there was great. But then again, on to 3, the ones I knew nothing about were the most fascinating, which was fun. So yeah, I'm enjoying it moving forward. The real problem I have, though, besides the WSL-ification of it, too much WSL, is you realize, unfortunately, which we've touched on, there is absolutely no stakes in professional surfing.
Right.
Where at the start they try with the hyperbole, where they say, like, I loathe hyperbole so much, but they say something. Who is it? It's Rabbit maybe, who says these are the greatest athletes on earth, or this is the greatest collection of professional surfing athletes we've ever had at one time, which is blatantly not true. Them talking about how dangerous it is, like this is life or death out there, right? Showing Pipeline, life or death, where then it cuts to Kelly talking about the life or death, says, yeah, guy dislocated his arm out there a couple days ago. Which is, if those are the stakes, a dislocated arm in warm water, and then, Kelly tries to, if that happens, who knows, you get pinned to the reef and da-da-da-da-da. And of course, we know pipe is dangerous. We know it. There are actual stakes. That is like the hyperbole they overlay that with makes it a farce, I think. And that's the problem, is there's no stakes for anyone. You fall off tour, who cares? You surf a bad heat, who cares, right? Like them trying to amp up and make stakes in here for anybody. When you get to Morgan and Matt, there are actual, that's the first time there is actual sort of stakes. This is either this guy's career or not, right? These kids aren't going to starve. They clearly live beachside towns, and they'll have to go back doing some other job. They won't be a professional surfer, but big deal, right?
Well, they will. That's why there's no stakes, is they will still be a professional surfer. In F1, if you crash $1 million car, that's a stake.
Yep.
You could die. That's a stake. And if you
Get fired.
Yeah, if you get fired, there's no other way to make a living.
Yeah.
Driving anything else,
Yeah.
You go to be a forklift driver or something. So in professional surfing, Gabriel Medina can opt not to compete next year, and he'll still make millions of dollars from his sponsors and live the same exact lifestyle.
Precisely. And them, I think, box to box I'm, again, thoroughly enjoying it. But that's a real problem of making this thing think we've got to build stakes here, right? There are stakes.
Yeah.
It's very obvious to, I suppose, somebody who's watched surfing, but I would imagine to the viewer at home, oh, what are they talking about? There is no stakes.
Right.
These people, there is literally no stake.
Well, I haven't watched those episodes, so let's talk about Tyler Wright. I felt you're absolutely right about the WSL's kind of oversight in this. I felt like Tyler Wright was kind of rewriting history a little bit.
Sure.
Like, that's not the way things, when they're shooting the interviews with her, the whatever those are called, confessional interviews, it's all done in hindsight, of course. And she's talking about surfing's been very sexist. She doesn't need hindsight to know that. But our event, our tour starts at Honolulu. The men's starts at Pipe. Well, then because of the shark attack, she gets a chance to surf Pipe. And she's talking about wanting that chance and all that sort of stuff. The way that we saw it all play out, and she did end up going on to win the event at Pipe, but the way that we saw it play out was she didn't surf proper Pipe. She never got barreled at Pipe. So her talking about wanting the chance and the way that they edit it makes it seem like she's campaigning to do the charge the waves in equal measure as the men are charging them at this harrowing spot. But then she never actually follows up on that promise.
Except also the show leads you to believe that she did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the way that she's talking in her confessional makes it seem like she did, and the way that they tell the story makes it seem like she did, but she didn't.
Yeah.
And then even this year, they were given the opportunity, and the behind the scenes rumor was she's the one who opted not to compete on the Day of Days.
Yeah, precisely.
And then they ran it on the next day that was less good.
Completely.
Which still didn't get barreled.
Which that episode in particular seems the most like whitewashing of history or scrubbing of history
really does.
And prepackaged.
Yeah.
Which makes me think they were worried going in a little bit on season 1 of having enough compelling storylines. It seemed like the Kelly storyline didn't pan out, right? Like Kelly's only in the first episode. What? I mean, they focus on him and John kind of and stuff, but
barely.
Yeah,
and so they let him tell the story of Pipeline mainly was his purpose.
Precisely, but I think that they were probably hoping there was something there that didn't happen, like Kelly surfing against John or something, right? Like that narrative would happen and it didn't, and so then they go to Tyler's narrative, thinking, okay, this will sell broadly. It's woman, LGBTQ. It's
well, who's going to say a bad thing about that?
Precisely.
Only us.
And that's precisely. And that's how you lead the show, right? Which again, that episode, when I got halfway through that and thought, if this is it, they absolutely blew it. Like this is
so that's where I talk about WSL oversight. I just felt like the box to box producers don't know it well enough to fully understand what the real story here is.
Yeah.
Because to me, the most compelling story of that entire event was the women not surfing.
Yeah.
Pipe,
sure.
proper pipe.
But they don't know, right?
Box to box doesn't know.
Yeah.
And so the WSL says, no, this is the storyline over here, and Tyler Wright's saying this is the storyline over here, and they're missing the actual storyline.
And when you have Luke Kennedy and Stace Galbraith as your two external voices, as your surf journalists or whatever, they're yes men from the get, right? I mean, so you're not going to get any like, wait a second, which I would have loved in the Brazilian Storm episode. They tuck their camera quickly into an Ain't That Swell live thing, which looks so fun. Have you ever seen those things?
Yeah.
I mean, I've only seen Instagram pictures and all that. The footage from the floor, it looks epic, right?
They throw a party.
It looks like such a great show.
Yeah.
But I would have, and Vaughn, of course, would be positive too. But I would love to see them ask Jed Smith, like, what's happening here, and maybe Nick Carroll comes along. But to your point, I suppose, an utter lack of outside voices helping drive the narrative. So WSL or Box to Box thought, this is the narrative we'll be able to sell. Let's build an episode around this.
Yeah. Which
is not, they do show warts, but it is definitely a scrub.
Well, here's another thing that they did not go into that the WSL never went into that I've been dying to know the backstory of. Tyler Wright's illness.
Yeah.
They refer to it, and Tyler Wright addresses it in 2 sentences and say, I had this thing, I forget what it's even called.
Post-viral syndrome.
Yeah, some super vague post-viral syndrome, which means you're really effed up.
Yeah.
That's how she explains it. And then I was gone for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't add up.
Funny, I just reread, remember her long ESPN interview?
Yeah.
I just reread that where she does go into detail about it and all that. But yeah, that lacking from the storyline of I got sick and then I was gone for 2.5 years. But again, the problem is when you're hyping this thing as crazy dangerous, as all superlative, and people are disappearing for whatever reasons, for, not saying that Tyler wasn't totally sick and whatever, but clearly, like, people come in and out of pro surfing. It is not life or death stakes for anyone.
Yeah, she can come back and then win the first event of the season.
Yeah. Gabriel can come back and get wild cards the rest of the season.
Right. So we'll talk about that too. But while we're on the topic of Tyler Wright disappearing, where the heck is Caroline Marks?
Is she gone?
She's gone, dude. Disappeared.
Did she fall off tour?
No. She didn't make the first event of the season because of COVID.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if she actually said COVID, but she withdrew for health reasons. And then she withdrew from Sunset for health. Actually, I think she showed up at Pipe. I'd have to actually double check, but I know for sure she withdrew from Sunset for health reasons.
And didn't go to Australia.
Didn't go to Australia, and has not mentioned anything on social media. The WSL hasn't mentioned anything. She's just on hiatus. The only thing that was stated was withdrawing from Sunset due to health concerns.
I mean, interesting.
She's posted like 4 Instagrams in the last 2 months, and they're all sponsored. I mean, it's literally meeting her sponsor obligations. Quicksilver or Roxy needs this many. She's hitting that many with a little hashtag sponsored.
I suppose it's a surf journalist job to get to the bottom of this.
I was going to put it on your lap. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I really do feel with her and with Tyler, I don't know, again, anything about Tyler's post-viral thing, but the weight of the world is on their shoulders. Like for both of them, they had really, really oversized expectations from the time they were young teenagers. And I don't know that you can carry that weight for a decade.
But again, I will argue that there's no weight. Like that since there's no stakes, they're like,
but when
they get bored.
If that's all you know, then it feels very real.
I mean, I suppose. I don't know that it does. I don't know that they have not convinced me yet that it feels like the amount, again, of hyperbole that gets laid over it makes me think that they're going above and beyond to try to make this seem like a major, major, major deal, where that seems like a miss to me, where pro surfing at its hardcorest level is not that major a deal.
Yeah.
But, that's the other thing too. You haven't gotten there yet. The waves get really bad in 2 and 3, of course, right? Because they were at Narrabeen and Newcastle, right? Which had some days, but overall, and so these guys are they go from pipe to real slop, proper slop, and it's all well shot, but there's no kind of, it's still WSL superlative speak of all of it, right? Pumping out there, guys, when everything's pumping, when that pipe footage they have is epic, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful pipe. Going to knee-high Newcastle, it's pumping.
Well, what's interesting is Morgan Siblick and Connor Coffin were both in the top 5 last season.
Yep.
They're both behind the cut line now by a large margin, are probably not going to make it. And I thought that was an indictment of last year, because even last year we were saying these guys probably shouldn't be top 5. They're only top 5 because we're running in beach breaks.
I wonder what you do with that. If people are coming into this show, and then the hope, theoretically, right, is that you translate interest and viewership from a non-endemic audience of Make or Break into watching the tour.
Correct.
If you're not watching, if they're not coming over, migrating, then the show in and of itself has little value to the WSL, because they're not getting paid. If anything, they're not getting that much from a production standpoint. Whole point is to migrate people over. When these people migrate over, and they I don't know how you deal with it. Their people are gone,
Yeah.
and also Gabby's divorced from Yasmin now and doing something else. I don't know how you address that.
The lag in production time is the problem.
For
the
sure,
fact that it comes out a year later.
But I wonder if it would be valuable for them to stick a little text box at the end, at the end of the season, or stay tuned for next season. Yasmin and Gabby divorced, something. Stay tuned for next season. Both Morgan and McGillivray are gone.
Right.
Because I don't know, that dissonance seems like, if I know, obviously, because I watch surfing and pay attention and then watch the show, so I know what's happening. But if you didn't know, and you thought, this Morgan Siblick, I'm gonna watch this guy surf, and then you log on after Margaret saying he's cut, well, where did he go?
Right. Well, so judge the success of the show based on, do you think it can convert the audience or not to become WSL event viewers?
The thing I think that will be the biggest hurdle is, again, to say it for the 18th time, the lack of actual stakes. I think that if you come over, if you watch the show and you become a fan, say, of Idolo, right? And you say, the way they packaged that Brazilian Storm thing, especially that episode, was this real tension between Gabriel and Idolo, a proper rivalry, right? And Brazilians smashing all comers and all this kind of stuff, right? The narrative was sort of the one, the thing they really leaned into, Idolo Gabe rivalry, which I don't know that's necessarily not true, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I think
it's not a personal rivalry.
Yeah, they tried to make it
on paper, maybe.
They tried to make it more, Gabriel is serious, Idolo is fun, Idolo always has fun, but So you get on this year and you look and think, what? But anyway, the lack of stakes. I think you watch Make or Break, you think, yes, I want to go watch Idolo surf. You log on, you see him kind of being weird, and you see like him surfing against a bottom seed. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how you stay interested.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
how you
yeah.
think, oh, good, Idolo won.
I was watching it from the perspective of, is this going to do what it's intending to do? You know? And I thought it will, but only to the degree that I predicted last week, which is it's not going to do what the Ultimate Fighter did for the UFC.
No.
It's going to incrementally grow the audience a negligible percent.
Which, if they wanted mass growth, again, I will say, you have to clean house. You have to treat the WSL like Make or Break, right? You have to have the cameras everywhere showing all of the fighting. The wall of positive noise has to come down. You have to have people who are not afraid to say negative things, to speak truth. Like, we've got a glimpse now of truth from Make or Break, a glimpse that does not exist whatsoever on a WSL broadcast.
Yeah.
And they're going to, if they want it to come poured over, they're going to have to add that drama and that behind the scenes access into the regular WSL broadcast.
Yes, totally.
Because then you might get engaged, right? Like if instead of showing a stay tuned screen and then come back on to Joe Turpel, like spinning whatever nonsense he's spinning. If you had a camera in the locker room with somebody frustrated or fighting or yelling at their coach or is it Andy King who was Gabe's coach?
Yes.
A lot of tears as they go on. Like
really?
Multiple people crying in the confessional.
And he's winning all the time. So what are they crying about?
Andy King was crying just about what happened to him in the past, and everybody. Okay. I think they're good at like kind of breaking people down to get them to cry, to open the to talk until you cry kind of thing. But what was I going to say about Andy King? Can't remember.
I'm not sure.
Oh, you could tell like. He's Gabe's coach. They focus on that coaching relationship. You see the annoyance that Gabe has looking at and Yasmin too. Yasmin comes up at some point and tells him, "Hey, go surf and have fun out there. Go have fun out there." He shoots so many daggers through her with his eyes. It's shocking. And he look over real dismissively at Andy King a lot. If you had WSL cameras capturing that in real time, where you get an insight into Gabe, right? Gabe knows what he's doing. And maybe he needs to be told stuff, but he doesn't want to be told stuff. And any tension like that starts to maybe make a narrative that would be interesting to an outside party.
Are you, speaking of WSL's broadcast, are you watching Margaret River? Did you watch yesterday?
I didn't. I was actually, oddly, and maybe, WSL, I was watching Make or Break instead of, I came on and I was like, nope, I'm keeping on here.
Looks like they might run today. I don't know if you're available or not. 4 p.m. our time.
I'll have it somewhere.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'll peek in. I heard wild and woolly conditions.
Yeah, so that's, as much as I don't think I'll like Margaret River, I do like it.
I mean,
it's mushy.
The rawness of Western Australia is always somewhat compelling.
It is. In the way, I mean, Sunset's a better version of it, but there is something compelling about, again, man versus nature is what that is. But there's only certain surfers who can actually surf well on those waves. So again, it comes back to everything we just say over and over again, where you turn it on, you're like, wow, this is man versus nature is compelling, but you watch 3 heats where nobody does anything interesting. And then John's heat, and you're like, oh yeah, this keeps me engaged.
The John, of course, I mean, I haven't even read anything about it, other than John was set the standard, and Kelly lost. Those are the only things I read about it. Who were these standouts besides John?
Well, let's start by saying they showed up in the morning. It was 25 feet. I mean, totally insane. Like huge closeouts. Like it looks like a proper big wave spot more than it does, a surfable, rippable spot. The fisheries boat, I forget, the fishery department's patrol boat that was out there kind of surveying for sharks before they start the event, almost got closed out.
Nice.
Did you see that?
No, I didn't see anything.
Oh my gosh, dude. This boat's giant. And a rogue set pops up and they start gunning it and they go straight over it. But the shot of it like cresting over the top of the breaking wave is harrowing.
Nice.
Totally insane.
Love it. Action.
But then the waves settled down a little bit later in the morning. They ran the most of round 1 in 10 plus foot surf. Like fairly groomed. There were sections, and so it was actually good. They didn't finish the entire round
Because they had to start so late?
I don't know. I think
Didn't they delay it for a minute?
I don't know, to be honest. I didn't at a certain point. I think after John's seat, I stopped watching. So I don't know if it was the conditions deteriorated or what. Yeah, it was. Again, it only validates what we kind of continuously say about there needing to be fewer surfers on tour. And I hate to beat the dead horse, but I feel it more and more strongly every time we watch an event. And watching Make or Break, and like I said, where there's really only the few storylines that we care about, and also only a few of the surfing that we care about.
Unless you get to Siblick and McGillivray, where all of a sudden I'm keyed in. I mean, I don't want them on tour, I suppose, but I wanted their stories. Their stories were fun.
So let's talk about this cut and Gabriel coming back after the cut. Somebody on Twitter posted a spreadsheet explaining who's totally safe and who's at risk of not making the cut, dependent upon their results at Margaret River, and it shows what place they need to get at Margaret River in order to make the cut, and ultimately 14th place, which is Chloe Andino and Jordy Smith, are totally safe.
Okay.
They can get last place at Margaret, and they'll still qualify.
So they're fine.
Those two are fine. Everything below them, which starts with Connor O'Leary, Nat Young, Jake Marshall, Sammy Pupo, Jackson Baker, Connor Coffin, Ezekiel Lau, Luca Macinas, Owen Wright, Morgan Siblick, all need to place something better than last in order to qualify.
So need to make it through one.
At least.
Okay.
And each has a different, but
So once it gets into elimination rounds, blood is going to
be spilled.
almost every heat.
But the only thing that I really wanted to say about this whole spreadsheet is everybody that's potentially on the chopping block, we don't really care about anyways.
No.
Like some people might have nostalgia for Owen Wright, you know, like, oh, I loved him and I want him to continue. But the reality is none of these people are really contending for a world title ever.
No.
I don't think they're even contending to win an event. And so looking at it goes, why are we even doing the cut? Just get rid of them from the get-go. We don't need that many people just to tell us what we already know.
I don't know, though, why, again, watching McGillivray and Siblick and becoming interested in their stories, I don't know why the WSL doesn't treat it sort of like America's Next Top Model or whatever, The Voice or something, where they get you invested in everybody and then they start chopping them down. And because that's compelling, right? The mid-season
That'd be a
cut
good show.
But even if they could figure it out, look at how much stinking dead time there is in a WSL broadcast. What if they actually hired a person who knows how to make content or
They did.
hire, I mean, yeah, which
Purportedly.
And old Elo should be taking his victory lap on Make or Break. Like, from all I can tell, this thing is going to work, and he deserves whatever praise he gets for it, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say.
Well, the funny thing is he's less involved in this than anything else that he's made.
Completely, but still, it's rude to hold him accountable.
It's like you go to your mom's house and she got takeaway. You're like, this is the best meal you ever made, Mom.
Yeah.
You know?
But hey, Mom got takeaway. Elo got us good takeaway.
You got takeaway.
But I don't know how you're not, instead of having Joe Turpel blather on,
Yeah.
just have little, like, make me interested in the bottom half of the tour.
So, well,
Not with canned interviews.
but they don't. The thing is, my point is, yeah, I guarantee, I agree with you. That episode's probably very good. They don't need to be on tour.
Make me interested and then cut them.
Or like, there's plenty of documentaries about, you know, people who didn't achieve greatness in their sport, but they're an interesting person and it's a compelling documentary. So I believe that those kids are interesting and their plight is interesting, but that's totally different than running a world tour that's supposed to be the best surfers in the best waves.
Somebody mentioned in Beach Grit, if this cut's such a good idea, which it is, why don't we start cutting from the beginning? Like, cut 5 surfers
Each event.
every event. Like, you're gone, you're below here, you're gone. You're
The
below
reason
here,
why
you're
that doesn't work is that math professor's call last week, which was there's so much noise right now. There's too many surfers that randomness exists.
Sure.
So Kelly Slater could get cut, or John or Gabriel could get cut in event 1. and that's not fair because it is too randomized because there's too many surfers.
Well, tough luck, I think. Like,
No, but that's not the right way. That'll just get you to a different version that also has problems. I think you have to have a small enough a number of surfers to where everybody gets a equal chance in the waiting period and in the window of swell, and then you can really see who is better than one another, and the one who isn't as good, then apply what you're saying, cut them. But you can't start with 32 because the randomness will take over.
That's true. Randomness is a problem, huh?
Right now it is.
Because like
it's too many.
America's Next Top Model, people are genuinely more beautiful than others.
Yes.
And they will survive at least that first noisy round.
But with this with American Idol, they throw in the random ones just to make fun of them.
Sure.
You know, like let's add more people so that we have like the bloopers reel essentially. If we want a wipeout reel, then we can add those guys. Gabriel Medina coming back after the cut. This seems completely arbitrary. Obviously, he's a world champ, and he took, let's say, an injury wild card is what we can call this for the mental break. But it's arbitrary in the fact that can he do this next year? Would they allow Luca Macinas to have done this year?
No, I'm all for this because to me this makes a clear mockery of both the idea of wild cards, injury wild cards, all of it. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about fairness.
Yeah.
I want to see the best surfer, the best surfers, right? And the most interesting surfers.
Yeah.
And Gabriel Medina is both of those things, to be honest. So, however you need, just stop making it seem like there's an actual process that the injury wild card is serious and or whatever. Just say, sorry, everybody. We literally will give this to the stinking Taj Burrow wanted to come back. Probably give it to him because he's more interesting than Lucas Macinas, right?
They gave it to Mick to come back to Bells.
Precisely. Yeah. And so, like, and not that giving it to old men is the solution.
Right.
But always give it to the person that the people want to see, I think.
And who has a chance at winning an event and a title.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I'm totally fine with it. It does highlight surfing is subjective, and they try to apply objective judging to it, and it's a kind of futile effort. This feels the same way.
Yeah.
This is they're going to make a subjective decision anyway, but they do create rules that they almost always bend and break for their own narrative.
Completely. I mean,
which again we're fine with, and by the way, I'm fine with surfing being subjective for the judging too.
Sure. I mean, that's what I would like. Why can't the judges watch a heat and then subjectively say this guy surfed better?
Yeah.
We're not even going to score every wave. We're just going to say that guy. I mean, I know that it provides drama and whatever into heat, but I'm fine with all of it. It's all subjective and it's all a joke, and we love it.
Gabriel has a chance at winning a title, by the way, if you crunch the numbers.
For sure.
He has a good chance.
I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
Like nobody dominated after. Yeah, nobody's dominated all year.
Even still, last year, Siblick and Coffin had 25,000 points to make it to the top 5, and 10,000 points is awarded to first place. So Gabe could win G-Land. Yeah. He could win Rio. He could win Chopu. He could. I mean, I wouldn't put money on him for El Salvador necessarily. You know what I mean? But the numbers the need will probably go up because of the cut. There'll be fewer surfers garnering more points. So maybe it gets bumped up to 35,000 as the minimum, but I think he can get 35,000 points, no problem.
How frustrated is Felipe Toledo, who had it sewed up? He had it sewn right up. As long as he can make it to the top 5, which what is he currently?
First.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he had the whole thing sewn up, headed into trestles. With Gabe's return, that now is no longer guaranteed. He could still beat Gabe at trestles.
At El Salv, maybe.
I mean, he could still, but it doesn't matter. He just has to top 5, right? I think Felipe's just, I'm getting to the top 5 and essentially the top 2 or 3 just so you don't have to surf all day.
Yeah.
But this was Felipe's year to win it, and Gabe came back to spike it.
I'd put my money on Gabe at trestles over Felipe 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Just because of his tenacity and like his steel mind. I feel like Felipe has got a little bit of feeble-mindedness.
I mean, I feel that Felipe would be scared to lose, and I don't think Gabe is really scared to lose.
It's just an older brother thing. It's just he's got the Jedi mind trap on him, you know? Do you think that Gabriel comes back as strong as he left us?
No idea. I mean, again, the peak into Gabriel was super interesting, make or break. He is a sort of inscrutable man. Like, it's really hard, even in his home life and stuff, to think what he's thinking or to see what he's thinking, right? Like, the rest you can. Idolo, you can see, with enough footage, you can see Morgan, Matt McGillivray, whoever else they focus on. You can either see what they are or what they're trying to sell. Gabriel's like a blank wall.
I think all of those other examples, they want to be liked, and they also they realize that vulnerability or showing some of themselves makes them more relatable and will allow them to be more liked. Gabriel doesn't have 1 ounce of that.
And
all.
And they show, and I don't know, again, the hyperbole really kills me because I just think it's unnecessary. I would like a instead of like trying to hype me up artificially, I would just like the true story. So they show Gabe in Brazil, of course, that he's a mega, mega, mega superstar there. That's what they show. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Is it? Is Gabriel Medina a mega, mega superstar?
It seems to me that he is.
He could be.
I mean,
he has
palling around
million,
and panning around with Neymar. Yeah, and his
but Neymar's like a full-on past his prime soccer player.
They still retain celebrity status there.
Sure. So Gabriel is ultra famous in Brazil. Let's posit that, I suppose. So what does he need anything else for? I mean, not that he
doesn't.
Ultra fame matters, but if he's like, I don't need to show you anything. I've got money.
Yeah.
I've got fame.
I think ego. I mean, more world titles, more.
That. But in terms of showing anything to the American or Western public, who cares?
Right. Are you out of here at 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
So for listeners, we got a hard out in 15 minutes. So I'm going to skip some stuff in my notes. We'll come back to it next week if we can. Essential viewing this week, though, it needs to be stated. Ragland Surf Report.
Oh, the
best. Did you watch the recent one? The send-up on Vloggers?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
He is, Luke Cedarman is a funny, funny, funny man.
I mean, it was 5 minutes long, so I was inclined to not watch it. But after a couple of different people posted how funny it was, I'm like, all right, I'll sit through it. Within 30 seconds, I'm like, dude, Luke, give me more.
Yeah.
Go 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's so well done.
Back to stinking make or break, though. Not to keep coming back. How do you not have a guy like Luke Cedarman out there, right?
That'd be incredible.
That would be like him kind of spoofing surfing to like.
That'd be incredible.
So make or break producers, if you ever listen, go deeper.
So here's what I worry about, and it's kind of related to that. How long can Cedarman go on? Are we seeing peak Cedarman right now? Because there's nobody in surfing who's offering him a job. It'd be epic if the WSL said, hey, come and do this. But if Luke's just left to his own devices, you get burned out. You don't feel fully validated. Maybe you just run out of creativity because you're doing the same thing over and over and over again.
You're right.
I worry about that. And I feel this way with Jonathan Wayne Freeman too, who I interviewed a while back, and I forgot to ask him, how long can you go on?
Yeah.
Like, how long can you turn it into selfie mode
and do it?
Yeah. And really, into your 30s and 40s is the question. I don't know how long you're even interested to continue doing it.
I think
Cedarman, I'm like, I don't want this to go away.
I think that Jonathan Wayne Freeman made it his job, right?
Yeah.
And so now he's going to be compelled to do it.
He has to. That's
how he's going to put food on the table. I don't know if Cedarman probably, obviously he's still a sponsored surfer. Like, Cedarman surfs very well.
And that series, Ragland Surf Report, is sponsored by Beef
Jack
Jerky.
Links.
Jack's Links,
yeah. So who knows if he doesn't have to. It's funny. I found myself Instagramming. I'm obviously not like the personality on the Instagram. I'm just ripping dumb stuff and putting it up. Even that exhausts me to the point now where I'm doing it less and less and less, and I'm maybe all the way done with. I've run out of steam on it. Like,
it's really a hamster wheel that doesn't have a lot of gratification.
The only thing that I truly like is communicating with people.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about just putting the static, email me if you want to chat.
Well, I didn't use Instagram for the last 2 months, and downloads did not drop off 1 iota.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. I mean, Instagram for Beach Grit, like, that's the thing. If you're trying to push something, the algorithm is so stacked against you of them wanting you to pay for it that I get. The only thing I get from my Instagram account is the pleasure of meeting other people that
Right.
otherwise wouldn't have emailed me.
Right.
Outside of that, I can't promote a book through it. Like,
Right.
I'll put some dumb video up and it'll get 10,000 views. I will put a picture of my book up and say, hey, Steph, I wrote a book, and it will get 10 likes.
Right.
Like, and it's not because people don't want to. I think it just doesn't get served to anybody.
Correct. You will really have to be working the algorithm, and that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it's tedious.
Can't do it.
I was talking yesterday, actually, texting with Justin J, because he has a podcast called The Plug.
Justin J gets the best guests on there.
It's all A-list all the time.
Man.
So that's what we were talking about. He had Tony Hawk
Yeah.
on a recent show, and I was like, man, you're killing it, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, we just need listeners.
Yeah.
He's 3 seasons in. And I go, well, you should have no problem if you just got your guests,
To
Ireland,
Instagram.
Baldwin,
Yeah.
whoever, to promote it. You should be fine. He goes, dude, there's so much white noise on Instagram. It's not even worth using anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when I told him too. I go, yeah, I haven't used it. I just started again this last week because I wanted to engage with a few things. But when I wasn't for 2 months, it didn't affect anything.
When Beach Grit lost, we had, it wasn't a ton, but we had 120,000 maybe followers. You would imagine that would
Hurt your business.
at least a slight dip in traffic. Honest to goodness, zero effect on traffic.
Yeah.
Zero effect.
Yeah. I think what happened with Facebook, and this is probably happening now with Instagram, was it used to be free flowing engagement. Then when they introduced the business model, if you weren't paying to advertise, your stuff just wasn't seen.
Unless you're just doing like fluff that doesn't matter, right? You can still have a meme account that will get big. The second you try to sell something or push something or promote something on that account.
Well, even the meme account that does get big, they're using you kind of to keep the wheels spinning.
Yeah.
So that has value to them, people are sharing it.
But I mean, I'm saying that the algorithm will allow you to share stupid stuff all day
Yeah.
long. As soon as you try to promote or push or talk about or direct any kind of anything, you're just done unless you're paying.
Quick True Grit or clickbait stuff. Quote, World Surf League insults audience with sharply worded email ahead of possible contest start. Quote, in case you've been living under a rock this past month, the Margaret River Pro will decide the midseason cut. End quote.
Funny. I'm going to say True Grit on this one. I did get that email.
It's funny.
I opened it and thought, whoa. Like, pump your brakes. It felt to me like WSL drank too much of its own Kool-Aid of everyone's talking about this now with Make or Break coming. I feel that WSL as an organization is feeling really good about itself right now. And so, like, of course, everybody's paying attention to everything we're doing. So, hey, dummies, gonna tell you again. Yeah.
Insults audience by saying you've been living in case you've been living under a rock. It was funny. I laughed at it. And no exclamation point.
I really try these days not to if I'm pulling a direct quote and it's not an exclamation in the quote.
Okay. Quote, world's richest man, Elon Musk, completes stunning purchase of messaging app Twitter, striking possible fear into the heart of surfing great and cryptocurrency visionary Kelly Slater, exclamation point.
Pure clickbait.
I'm not even sure how these things are connected.
Unadulterated clickbait. It was that, remember when Kelly went after Elon?
No.
Oh, Kelly went after Elon for on Instagram for, I don't know, Elon no longer took or offered Tesla, I think. You could buy one with Bitcoin. And then said, no, I'm not going to do that anymore because Bitcoin is bad for the environment.
Right.
And Kelly went after him. Kelly went after Elon.
Because Kelly's heavy in Bitcoin.
In crypto,
and so
yeah.
he was mad that Elon
was
tanked.
Exactly. And so this was just enough. Like, I loved that story when it came up initially. And so this was just a way to rewarm a story that was near and dear to my heart.
Got it. Any thoughts on Elon's purchase of Twitter?
Well, I mean, to me, it's sort of seems like it's dangerous to have the world's richest man own the platform for conversation. That doesn't seem like it makes sense. Not that Twitter's the only one, but like a major platform for and I know it's not free speech, but at least for speech. The fact that Dorsey is behind it, and I suppose if Elon puts a bunch of safeguards in place that blocks him from the actual control of the thing, then I think that's fine enough.
Then why would he want it?
If he actually believes in free speech, if like it's not just, he's the world's richest man already, right? Well, how much more do you need? If he thinks, I believe in free speech to the point where I can buy this thing because I have world's richest man here, so I'm going to buy this thing not to make money, but to preserve free speech.
There's no chance that this is a philanthropic move and he wants to preserve free speech. There's zero chance.
He's just weird enough to me
No
that
way.
I think that might be in there. If Jeff Bezos bought it, then I would say no chance.
Elon wants to remain the world's richest man, and owning communication channels is a surefire way to ensure that.
But does Twitter make money?
No, well, that's the business opportunity. That's the business opportunity. Is Jack Dorsey is so underperformed as a CEO, and that stock has, and the companies, while every other tech company that started at the same time has seen 8,000% return in the same amount of time, Twitter's completely flatlined, and Elon sees that as a huge opportunity to 800% it, like he did with Tesla.
I mean, you could be right.
That's all it is.
Could be right.
And under the guise of free speech, like just making that the conversation,
If that's
a
all
genius move.
if that's all he's doing is making a bunch of money off it, then that's fine.
his
with me
goal
too, I
is to
suppose.
make a bunch
Yeah.
of money. Yeah, no question. I'm not against any of it, by the way.
Sweet.
And I don't dislike him either. Let's go to quick commercial, come back with Barrel or Not.
Great.
We'll just hit him with LinkedIn. Do you want to do any AG? Okay. All right, Chaz, we're back. We're going to get you out of the door real quick here. I got a Barrel or Not phone message. I'm not going to play it for you. I'll just word it for you. Forcing your kid to surf. But the caveat from the caller was, obviously you don't want to be this tiger parent who's like, I surf, you got to surf. He was kind of explaining that all the things he didn't want to do as a kid were actually good for him. And surfing is embedded with all these good character building, discipline, all this sort of stuff. So he thinks it's actually a good thing, forcing your kid to surf.
1,000%. You burn your kid out, great. There's one less surfer in the lineup. Also, doing what you don't want to do, being cold. I mean, surfing is great, I feel, for character in, it's, unless you live in a warm water place, whatever. Like, even then, like, surfing's not easy. And to force a kid to do something that's not easy is great for the kid.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's gotten too soft of just doing soft things and easy things, right?
Agreed.
Don't do soft things and easy things. I think every kid should be forced to paddle in. You face your fear of whatever, sharks, drowning, like there's a bunch of stuff I think inherent or involved with surfing that makes it a perfect tool to give your kid a little backbone.
I agree. And it's the best of all the rough things that your kids could be forced to do.
You're not going to get a head injury.
Right.
Less,
Exactly.
Less.
Unless Tosh Tudor's out in the lineup. And also, I like the initial take, which was burn them out.
Yeah.
So they by the time they're 16,
Done.
they never want to do it
Great.
again. Yeah, that's
So
a
long.
great idea.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Forcing your kid to surf, very Barrel. Ice baths. This is in light of Rob Kelly, who I mentioned in the Bubba Coos segment of the show. Rob Kelly, apparently, I don't follow his blog, but apparently is going into the ocean every day. I think he's catching 3 waves.
Wetsuitless, right?
In trunks.
Yeah.
Every day for 1 year, surfing in trunks for 3 waves. He lives in New Jersey. The water gets down into the 40s, and he's going to catch 3 waves.
And the air is in the, what,
Yeah.
20s?
Yeah, it's snowing on the
Yeah.
beach.
I'm Big Barrel.
Ice bath.
Big Barrel. Again, we're all too soft, man. However you can make yourself uncomfortable in this day and age, jump at the opportunity.
I think a lot of it's a trend, though, now, and that part of it rubs me the wrong way.
The trendy part of it is lame, and the health benefit talk is lame, and all of that is lame. Purely toughen up. Like,
You know what I'm for? Natural cold water bath. So go into the ocean.
Go into the ocean.
But if you're buying a $500 tub that you're putting in your backyard,
If you're buying anything, you did
Buying
it the
an ice
wrong way.
machine.
If you're buying anything, you did it the wrong way.
even if you can't go in the ocean, just cold shower it.
Sure.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But if you're buying an ice machine,
To get your
Not fair.
parasympathetic,
Right.
blah blah, like
Exactly.
for all that stuff, you're doing it the wrong way. Just toughen up.
The polar bear club guy, all that stuff is epic.
Great.
Yeah.
Toughen up.
I even wearing a wetsuit, I've found myself enjoying cold water.
Sure.
Just because I don't get to surf nearly as much now.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so
Invigorating.
wakes. Yeah, it's invigorating.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. All right, barrel. Barrel or not? Clapping when a plane lands.
Oh. Of course, my initial instinct here is no barrel. But why not? You're celebrating. You're enjoying. The people who clap. If you got on that plane thinking there's a decent chance this plane could go down, and you still got on it, and feel good enough when it lands that you applaud at the end, I tip my cap to you for being super, super brave. There's never once that maybe once. Definitely once. I've gotten on some sketchy airplanes. But usually a commercial airliner, I don't get on thinking, there's a chance. This thing could be going down.
So that person that you just described, that's one every 40 flights.
Yeah.
But there's 40 people on every flight clapping. It's just, they're not afraid they were going to die.
But why are they clapping then?
Because they're dumb.
But they're...
They're just dummies. You know what I mean? Like, or it's the first time they've ever flown on a flight.
So
maybe.
great though, but like exuberance, I'm not going to shame exuberance.
I
If
am.
it's your first time and you're clapping, great. If you really thought you were going to die and you survived, great. I'm going to say the people who are nobody's rotely clapping. Even the dumbest of the dumb think they're clapping for a reason.
People get roped into it because a couple of dumb people start clapping.
Okay, wait a second. If you start clapping because somebody else clapped, then you're lame. Don't do that.
That is part of it for sure.
The person who feels compelled to clap, I tip my cap, sir.
The
or
person
ma'am,
compelled to clap is the same person who drives under a freeway overpass and has to honk.
or hold their breath.
Or hold their breath, or, yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, does all these...
I like it though.
I don't like it.
Our lives are too boring. Spice it up. It's the same way I like. What did we talk about months ago? The vanity plates or stickers or something, where I was all barrel for it. Of like, spice it up. Any way you can spice up this mundane existence we're wading through.
I don't know, man. I feel like celebrating the superficial things
Makes everything stupid.
it's like actually do something, have an achievement, and then celebrate that. Like put some work in, put some effort in, survive an actual threat, clap for that. But just like the celebrating of live, laugh, love makes me feel like you have zero going on, so now you're just celebrating this superficial thing because your life is that vacant of actual things.
You really changed my mind.
You know what I mean?
You really changed
Like
my mind on
clapping
this
this
one.
plane land, like I've been on a bunch of planes. They all landed. It's normal. Do you clap when your car makes it to the destination?
What if you did?
I don't know. Maybe it is a better person than me. Maybe I'm just so cynical. I don't know. But all I know is when the plane lands and they start doing it, I'm like, you guys better...
Get off the plane quick.
You guys have low IQ
Yeah.
and you're annoying the crap out of me. That's how I feel about it.
What about when people clap at movies? At the end of a movie?
If it's a phenomenal cinema experience that compels you to clap when you would never otherwise clap, I want to see that movie.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Great show. Thanks, bubbacoos.com/surf.
Ain't pulling no one's leg here. It's honestly phenomenal.
I think so too.
Couldn't have been happier.
Great kids, great experience in the shop too with all the surf vibes. So
Love it.
thanks to them. And Chaz, enjoy your afternoon in La Mirada.
You too, David.
All right, until next week.
Bon voyage.
Thank you so much. So,
Where do you have to be to Newport Beach or where?
no, I have to. They're in Orange.
It's not too bad.
No, it's like, but the traffic starts building. Let's see.